Hey guys, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. I wanted to kind of go over some of the stuff we were talking about this morning. Body posture is one of the most important things you can do when you're doing decoy work. How you present yourself to it, especially with beginning dogs and weak dogs. A lot of my experience when I first started out was working in a facility in the Bay Area that I had my first mentor by the name of OJ of all things, a small African American who was in Special Forces. He was working a lot of the dogs over there, the canines. He was doing some special work that he wouldn't even tell me about. Well, he told me, but so I had to keep my mouth shut. That stuff's probably declassified by now. It's a lot of years ago. But they were cleaning out the tunnels over there with the dogs, sending the dogs in. It was pretty hairy work because the dogs, he said the dogs would go down in the holes, you'd hear all kinds of loud noises, and then the dog would come up with blood everywhere, and it wasn't the dogs. So they were definitely down there doing the job to clean out those tunnels. And a lot of the training that they did was kind of perfected back then because it was one of the first war situations that we really used the canines in that capacity in jungle warfare. Jungle warfare is a lot different than the urban warfare that they're doing right now in Iraq and in other places that's become established for the canine, where they're going into rooms and they're clearing buildings, and it's more of an urban. Jungle warfare is totally different. So they worked the dogs differently. They wanted the dogs to be a lot more silent because they were scouts and alert. The body language told the handler that the bad guy was out there, and the dog was supposed to be quiet because they could run into ambushes and all kinds of things, or they were trying to ambush the other side, right? So the big thing that he taught me that was really took hold in me was how he taught a dog to go from 0 to 60 and explode out of the bush and to take a man down, and they would teach the dog to go for the neck or some other extremity that would take the man down, and that'd be it, right? So that expression of how the dog and reading the animal in a war like that in the jungle warfare was a lot more in tune. The animals and the handlers, they were just like that. You know, they knew each other's movements. The handler knew the dog, and the dog knew the handler. And it's probably true in a lot of war situations, but in the jungle warfare it gets even more because the sense of smell, they could actually smell the opposite side because of the food they ate, the rice and things like that. They smell different, their skin. So the dog would alert that smell coming through the bush. All kinds of little things that was really interesting to me. One of the biggest things that I still keep it to this day is how I work the dog. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and whiteboard it and kind of show you what I was trying to show you today. This is my style and the way I was taught with him many years ago. So, if this is me, and I'm working the animal is pegged out on a back tie, a leash, and here's my dog. Bad representation of it. I'm not really the best drawer, I can't draw with a hook. But in a general sense, the dog is going to be on a pendulum, so to speak, on that back tie. And he's going to be able to be moving from here to here, right? His movement is going to be at the end of that leash this way, right? And my movement is going to be coming in and working the dog this way, half circle, right? I always usually set up on one side or the other, and 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, and I'll present a side profile to the dog. And I keep my shoulder up, I show the dog a lot of fear. We're talking bringing a young dog along, like these puppies, or a dog that might be weak and insecure. We want to make sure we have a body presentation has to be very proper, right? So I will work the dog, and then I'll set up like that, and the dog gets used to me setting up, a little bit of teasing, and he knows I'm going to flip. And I'm going to bring the sack in, I'm going to let him have his bite, and he's looking for that to be going the other way. So now if I flip and I go the other way, he's going to see the opposite side of my body, but he's going to see my ass end because that circle that I'm working, this half circle here, is going to make my body actually come out the other way, and now I'm flighting away from the dog. See how this is? So I can step in and flight in any little loop that I want to and give the dog that picture of my ass end with that sack that's going trailing out, he's going to want to strike at, right? So I start all my dogs out that way, and I teach them that my body profile denotes what I'm going to do, and they start getting keyed into and being aware of the body motions that I'm going to do because it's pattern training. And I'm going to turn around, I'm going to flip that sack into his mouth. Either I'm going to flip it this way, or I might even bring it up on my side like you saw me, which is the next step up, right? Well, the dog is starting to learn to strike me, but I keep my body profile totally pointed away from him. So we'll get into that a little bit more, and maybe I find a cameraman or somebody who can help us accent this. But body profile is very, very important in how you present and show fear and flight, all that sort of thing with a beginning dog. With a puppy like this, these young puppies, what are you trying to achieve when you're working this dog is important. Knowing what you're trying to achieve in that animal, in his behaviors that you're going to build, right? Very important. So I want a dog, personally, I want a dog that comes in and strikes and hits me. So to get that, I flip away from him and I come the other way and I get him to come to it because I am actually moving away from the dog, right? So I come in, I flip, and I move away from the dog. The dog gets used to that pattern and he's going to want to chase. And he's going to want to grab that sack as I move away from him, right? Then I start coming in and I flip and I give a presentation sideways and I try to bait him into coming up and touching my body and actually making contact and start to build confidence with the dog in such a way that he understands he's going to start riding the body and getting more confident. The way I praise him, the way I present my shoulder, and the way I present my body posture is very important in this stage until the dog gets some confidence and starts to understand through pattern training what he's supposed to do, right? So again, back to what do I want? My objectives in the training. I want the dog to come out and strike, and I want him to bite with a full mouth bite and then get into the fight, right? And then we have you see the decoys and Schutzen all the time doing that half skip and then a lot of stick work, right? They're getting the dog used to having the stick work because in Schutzen there's a lot of stick work. But in general, that makes the dog more secure for anything coming down towards his head. And you'll see me doing the same thing. I'm throwing my arm out there. I'm getting the dog used to this arm going up and over his head and not being a threat to him. I might bring it down and kind of praise him either over the head or underneath the neck is usually what I do. And I use my marker to teach the dog to bite back here. That's all about timing and how I'm setting that bite when the dog comes in. As he goes along and he gets better and better, he's going to come in and strike, and as he strikes, I'm going to kind of choke the bite. I'm going to push it into his mouth right as he's opening up to strike, and I'm going to set that bite back here in the back. And then I'm going to start my fight, and I'm going to use the back tie to get the dog to want to hold on. That's what that opposition reflex is basically what you're playing on. The dog wants to hang on to anything that's going away from him, right? So he's naturally going to want to hang on, and when he's tied out, I can put pressure and put tension on that leash. Tension is going to cause the dog to bite harder and want to hold on all the more because he doesn't want to let his prey get away, right? These are natural, God-given instincts that we're using in regards to the dog's natural instinct, what we call the prey cycle, okay? And understanding the prey cycle, we'll get into it one of these days, and how it breaks it all down in the proper way. And I've got to find an article. I think it might have been Armin Winkler or somebody that wrote a great article on it, and it's way back a lot of years ago on the prey cycle. If anybody's out there that knows of it, put it in the comments. If you've got a link to it, give it to me. Everybody can learn that way, right? Everybody can learn and grow. But the understanding and understanding the dog's natural instincts and what we call the prey cycle is really important for this beginning stage of bite work, okay? All right, I'll go ahead and let you go. Mark Ferrasci, ProTech Dog Training. I hope that made some sense to you. And we'll keep accenting some of these points so you can start to learn and grow for those of you that don't know it. There's a lot of people that have been doing this for a lot of years and they understand exactly what I'm talking about. This may be a different style than most people are used to because they're so stuck on the way they learn through sport, Schutzen, or ring sport, etc., and how they build their dogs. I get into accenting some deeper thought into the natural, real down deep instincts of an animal as we're starting to build them, because I think that's very important, and I don't think they teach it very much at all nowadays, and they have to learn it as they do it. Enough time goes by, they start to learn it, but they don't understand that this has all been done 20 years ago when Schutzen was first coming over here. They got into a lot of these scientific aspects of how a dog learns to bite and what we're drawing on and bringing out the natural instincts of the dog, and we're using to our advantage. If we understand it, we know about how the dog's brain ticks and what makes him tick in a scientific way, we're going to be a lot better at doing the things that we need to do to teach this dog to get out on the street and fight for real, right? All right, Mark Ferrasci, ProTech Dog Training, signing off. Have a good day, guys.